Welcome to this explainer. Look, we're jumping right in today because this is an urgent, measured, strategic briefing built specifically for enterprise leadership. We're looking at a sudden, paradigm-shifting escalation in autonomous AI cyber threats. What was once just theoretical white paper stuff? Yeah, it's now quantifiable, fully tested, and live in the wild. If you're the one responsible for securing your organization's digital infrastructure, the data we're about to review from the UK's AI Security Institute, the ASI, is absolutely essential. We are officially transitioning from an era where AI was just a handy coding assistant, right, into a reality where it acts as an autonomous, offensive cyber agent. Okay, let's dive into this highly structured executive agenda. We're going to cover 1. The AI cyber arms race. 2. Multi-stage network attack simulations. 3. Human versus autonomous AI hackers. 4. Bypassing current safety defenses. And finally, number 5, building enterprise cyber resilience. Section 1, the AI cyber arms race. Let's look at how AI has rapidly evolved into a tool with serious offensive capabilities. Right now, we're operating in a fiercely competitive landscape, completely dominated by two frontier models, OpenAI's GPT-5.5 and Anthropic's Claude Mythos preview. According to the recent ASI findings, these two are essentially going neck and neck, matching each other in unprecedented cyber attack capabilities. And here's the wild part. The ASI notes these offensive skills aren't necessarily explicitly trained into the models. Instead, they're emerging as a natural byproduct of general improvements in AI reasoning, autonomy, and coding. The industry leaders know exactly what's at stake here. Take this recent quote from OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. He's talking about a limited GPT-5.5 cyber rollout aimed specifically at critical cyber defenders. OpenAI is actively scaling up a trusted access for cyber program, and honestly, this restricted rollout makes total sense. Why? Because GPT-5.5 can use binary reverse engineering to analyze compiled software for malware and vulnerabilities, and it doesn't even need the source code to do it. We're talking about a tool of immense, literal game-changing power, so controlling who gets their hands on it is absolutely step 1 in this arms race. Moving right along to Section 2, multi-stage network attack simulations. Let's translate what these capabilities actually mean for your enterprise network vulnerabilities. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the massive jump in capability from the previous generation of models to the current ones. The ASI used a suite of capture-the-flag tasks designed alongside cybersecurity firms Crystal Peak Security and Irregular. At the highest expert difficulty, so we're talking complex exploit development, cryptographic attacks, unpacking heavily obfuscated malware, the older GPT-5.4 was sitting at a 52.4% success rate. But look at GPT-5.5 and Claude Mythos. They've leapt all the way up to around 70%. They are completely dominating these expert-level isolated tasks. But as we all know, isolated tasks are one thing. Real, devastating cyber attacks require chaining multiple, highly complex steps together. So the AISI teamed up with SpecterOps to test these models on a brutal 32-step simulated corporate network called The Last Ones, or TLO. This simulation drops the AI agent in with 0 credentials. Nothing. It has to conduct a reconnaissance, steal credentials, move laterally across multiple Active Directory forests, execute a supply chain pivot right through a CI/CD pipeline, and finally, exfiltrate a protected internal database. The whole shebang. And here is the massive paradigm shift we need to talk about. These models are successfully completing this end-to-end attack entirely autonomously. GPT-5.5 solved that 32-step TLO simulation in 2 out of 10 attempts, and Claude Mythos pulled it off in 3 out of 10. Now you might be thinking, okay, 20 or 30%, that sounds kind of low. But the ASIC estimates that completing this specific simulation would take a seasoned human cybersecurity expert roughly 20 hours. The sheer fact that an autonomous AI agent can chain these 32 steps together at all completely rewrites the fundamental math of network defense. Quick caveat, these tests were run on networks without active human defenders fighting back. But still, the raw capability is undeniably there. Let's shift gears to industrial environments because we actually have some reassuring news here. A second simulation called Cooling Tower, which models a 7-step attack on an industrial control system, remains completely unsolved by any AI model to date. 0 success. However, the AISI did point out that the AI tripped up on the upstream IT steps, not the actual industrial control system itself. So while our critical physical infrastructure is holding strong for now, you can bet these models are knocking very loudly on the door. Section 3, Human versus Autonomous AI Hackers. Let's look at the stark contrast in operational speed. 10 minutes and 22 seconds. I really want that number to sink in for a second. That is the exact amount of time it took GPT-5.5 to completely crack a fiendishly difficult reverse engineering puzzle in the ASI evaluations. And no, this wasn't just a simple brute force password guess. The AI had to reconstruct a custom virtual machine's instruction set, write a disassembler entirely from scratch, and recover a cryptographic password using constraint solving. 10 minutes. This right here brilliantly illustrates the terrifying new asymmetry of the threat landscape we're dealing with. For a top-tier human expert using professional tools, that exact same reverse engineering puzzle takes approximately 12 painstaking hours. The AI did it in 10 minutes. And the total cost in API compute? A measly $1.73. The barrier to entry for executing highly sophisticated, time-intensive cyber operations has practically vanished overnight. Attackers now have an incredibly cheap, tirelessly fast, expert-level workforce right at their fingertips. Section 4. Bypassing current safety defenses. How fragile are our current measures against these lightning-fast tools? So the ASAI researchers didn't just test what these models could do, they tested how safe they were, and they discovered what's known as a universal jailbreak. If you're not deep in the weeds on this, a jailbreak is just a technique used to trick an AI into completely ignoring its safety programming. A universal jailbreak means it bypasses those guardrails across the board. In this specific case, it worked on every single malicious cyber request that OpenAI's system was explicitly supposed to flag and block. We're even talking about complex, multi-step autonomous agent scenarios, just bypassed. So the crucial point is how long it took to actually develop this universal bypass. Are you ready for this? 6 hours. It took a mere 6 hours of expert red teaming to completely dismantle the safety guardrails of literally one of the most advanced AI models on the planet. Now, OpenAI did push updates to their safety systems after the fact, but some configuration issues meant the ASI couldn't fully verify if that final patch actually held up. The major takeaway for us: you absolutely cannot rely on the AI vendor's built-in safety filters to protect your enterprise network. This reality brings the deployment strategies of these big AI labs into very sharp focus. OpenAI has opted for a much broader public rollout, integrating GPT-5.5 right into ChatGPT and making it widely available via API. Anthropic, on the other hand, has decided to heavily restrict access to Claude Mythos, limiting it only to small, trusted groups. Given what those ASIC results just showed us about how easily jailbreaks can be whipped up, Anthropic's cautious lockdown approach might actually be the much safer bet for the broader digital ecosystem right now. Let's move to Section 5, Building Enterprise Cyber Resilience. It's time to shift from the edge of panic into a state of empowered action. We have to remember the backdrop for this AI evolution is already incredibly challenging. According to the UK government's annual cybersecurity breaches survey, 43% of UK businesses suffered a cyber breach or attack in the last 12 months alone. Almost half. And remember, that is before these new autonomous AI agents become mainstream, everyday tools for threat actors. We are way past the point of waiting. Immediate, decisive action is required at the board level. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. There is a very bright silver lining here. The exact same AI capabilities that make these models such terrifying attackers also make them the ultimate defensive tools. For decades, the attackers have naturally had the advantage. AI might actually flip that script for us. Just recently, Mozilla, the developer of the Firefox browser, used an early version of Anthropic's Claude Mythos internally. And what happened? The AI successfully identified 271 distinct vulnerabilities in the browser, which allowed Mozilla to rapidly patch them before they could be exploited. AI is literally going to be your best shield against AI. So let's break down the clear strategic takeaways for the C-suite. First, you need to actively pursue adoption into those trusted access programs offered by the AI labs. Get these powerful defensive tools into the hands of your internal security teams immediately. Second, begin aggressively integrating AI for defensive patching and vulnerability discovery. Third, as AI exponentially accelerates the pace of bug discovery across the board, prepare your IT infrastructure for an absolute surge in necessary software updates. And finally, leverage the new state resources out there. For instance, the UK government just announced a massive £90 million funding boost for cyber resilience, alongside the upcoming Cybersecurity and Resilience Bill designed to protect essential services. Use these tools. Look, the AI cyber arms race isn't something on the distant horizon anymore. It is already inside the network. Threat actors can now execute what used to be a 12-hour expert-level operation in just 10 minutes and for under $2.
The tools are here, the capabilities are proven, and the speed is completely autonomous. So I'm going to leave you with this final imperative question to take straight back to your leadership teams. As AI attack capabilities scale exponentially, is your enterprise network ready to defend against an autonomous 10-minute breach? Thank you so much for joining this explainer. Now, let's go